Long ago in the ancient kingdom of Nri, King Obiora ruled. He was deeply respected by his people and their neighbors. Even though he was wise and kind, he was upset because he had no children. The king's home was silent because there were no kids. King Obiora was married to 3 women, Anwuli, Ebele, and the youngest, Adaugo. Anwuli was as peaceful as the Idemili River, Ebele as comforting as the warmth of the midday sun, and Adugo, while beautiful and charming, was secretly very clever. Adogo, hoping for a change in her fortune, went to see Ezemuo, a highly respected dibia, known for his ability to see the truth. Surrounded by holy eco leaves and powerful talismans, Adaugo started to feel hopeful as Ezemuo used his agbala and handed her the crystal ball with the future in it. Looking into the crystal ball, Adaugo saw Anwuli, one of the king's other wives, holding a baby that was destined to be important. Adaugo felt envious because the vision did not show her in a favorable light. Driven by jealousy, she started to think of ways to harm Anwuli. A big celebration was held where the king's precious ododo, a symbol of peace and plenty, suddenly disappeared and was later found with Anwuli's things, thanks to sneaky Adaugo. Anwuli, who was actually innocent, was wrongly shamed and thrown into the gloom of the dungeon. But Adaugo was still restless. She went back to Ezemuo, wanting clearer answers. The mystical Agbala gleamed, revealing yet another prediction. This time it promised Ebele, the last wife not in prison, would have a child. Jealous again, Adaugo made sure Ebele ended up just like Anwuli, locked away and drowning in sadness. After causing trouble for the other wives and feeling the weight of fear over her, Adaugo figured out the Dibaya knew too much for her comfort. She feared he might spill her secrets, so she had to act. She came up with a smart trick to make the Dibia look bad and get him out of her way. With a net of lies and made-up charges, she got the king to believe the Dibia was a liar who deserved to be locked up. The king, tricked by Adaugo, sent the Dibia to prison, leaving her to plot freely without him in her way. Adaugo was on top of the world when she had twins, a boy named Ikenna and a girl named Oluchi. The kingdom celebrated with great happiness, believing the twins meant a bright and prosperous future. But Adaugo didn't see the problems that were coming. Her story wasn't over yet. The twins, Ikenna and Oluchi, were cherished by their father and all the kingdom's inhabitants. They were the gems of King Obiora's heart, bringing to life what Adaugo had always hoped for. Now, she was the only wife who had blessed the king with children, and this made her very content. As the twins approached their 18th birthday, Adaugo's world was turned upside down when she stumbled upon a scene that shattered her perception of reality. In one of the secluded chambers of the palace, she witnessed Oluchi and Ikenna, locked in a passionate kiss, their love for each other undeniable. The truth hit her like a thunderbolt. Her children, the pride and joy of the kingdom, were engaged in a forbidden romance, a secret they had managed to conceal from everyone, including their parents. When Adaugo discovered the scandalous truth about her children's forbidden love, her heart sank with disbelief and horror. She couldn't fathom how her own flesh and blood could engage in such a taboo relationship. The thought of the shame and disgrace it would bring upon the royal family was unbearable. Determined to preserve their reputation, she resolved to confront King Obiora and reveal the truth, hoping to find a way to save their legacy from ruin. Ikenna and Oluchi loved each other more than anyone could imagine, and they knew that the truth about their secret relationship could be dangerous. They couldn't let her tell everyone about it, because their lives would be ruined then. They understood that if their secret were exposed, they would face severe consequences. Not only would they be banished from the kingdom, but they would also be imprisoned. They had watched their mother be sneaky and lie all their childhood, and they had picked up on how to do it too. So they made a plan to trick their mother, Adaugo, to stop her from telling their secret. They fooled the royal guards into believing that Adaugo was conspiring against the king. They set up fake events and hid a fake note that looked like it was from Adaugo, planning to take down the king. They put this note where the royal guards would easily find it in her stuff. This made the guards think she was guilty, so they arrested her. After that, Adaugo was locked up in the dungeon as a punishment for betraying the king. Even though physical chains are tough, the chains of guilt are even tougher. Within her dreary prison cell, Adaugo came face to face with Ezemuo, the Dibia she had previously wronged. Over time, his resentment turned into sympathy for the queen, whose destiny had been sealed. Ezemuo shared a secret revelation from his divination tool. The prophecy had originally intended for Adaugo to have a child before either Ebele or Anwuli. However, fragile as the strings of fate may be, her betrayal of them and of him had caused those strings to come undone. Her own actions had twisted the path of her life, changing what could have been blessings into unavoidable curses. Separated from the world over which she used to have influence, Adaugo contemplated her life story. The darkness of her cell seemed insignificant compared to the darkness she realized was inside her. In the somber quiet of her prison cell, Adaugo faced the harsh truth of her life. She saw clearly now how every unkind deed she had done to others had returned to her, heavier and darker than before. She was betrayed by her own children. What in entire life could be worse than this? Her story carried a potent lesson that echoed through Nri's streets and beyond. What goes around, comes around. When you dig a hole for someone else, you might just fall into it yourself. Be kind and fair, because the wrong you do will come back to you. And that brings us to the close of our story. It's been an absolute pleasure creating and sharing this tale with you. Thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. May you carry the moral lessons learned from these stories with you and find blessings in your own adventures. I hope that you enjoyed this story, and if so, please subscribe to my channel. Your support fills me with joy and motivation to create more stories for you. May love and prosperity always be with you.